Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Cathy Frail. She is a political psychologist and writer.
I joined GDAC about a year and a half ago, but I work pretty independently of GDAC. I do go to the meetings and I do participate some. But what I've been doing is cutting articles out of newspapers and compiling them into what I call packets. And I think people here have already cleaned me out of packet number 2. Packet number 1, the pages weren't even numbered. It covered about a 6-month period, starting in, I would say, October of 2009. Only 50 pages. I sent it out to about 150 people in Cortland, basically everybody in my address book, people I knew. It went to the county legislators. It went to the city aldermen. Packet number 2, again, it covered about a 6-month period. Starting in March of 2010 and going up to the following September. What I liked about it, it had about 8 pages from the Syracuse Peace Council, which in my view told you about everything you needed to know about fracking. It also had about 4 pages from Barbara Lifton and her views on the fact that natural gas is not a transition fuel. So I like packet 2. I think you just cleaned me out of packet 2, which is fine. I'm trying to get rid of these packets. I give them away. I cannot charge for them because I think I could be sued by all these newspapers and magazines if I did. What I have now is packets 3, 4, and 5. They're on a table down the hallway where all the tabling is taking place. Packet 3 covers only 3 months. It was the EPA hearings in Binghamton about this, primarily other things that were going on during September, October, November. Packet 4 picks up in December of 2010 and the first 2 months of this year. Packet 5, if you're just going to take one thing, I would recommend take packet 5. It's 260 pages long. And it covers about a 3.5-month period, March, April, May, and half of this month. But these are getting thicker and thicker. I think, fortunately, the national media is starting to pay some attention over the last 3 or 4 months. I sent packet number 2 out to 200 national journalists, and it's everybody you've ever heard of, whether it was TV, radio, newspapers, magazines, whatever. The newspapers that I have clipped for this are the New York Times, the Syracuse paper, Ithaca, Cortland, Binghamton. I can't always get Binghamton easily. I subscribe to about 5 progressive publications like In These Times, Mother Jones, The Nation, etc., and the Progressive Populist, and those occasionally have something on fracking. But there's a huge wealth of material. I would encourage you to, I mean, it's hard to carry these things. They're so, this is what paper does to you. It's hard to carry, and there's a lot of it. There's about 750 pages altogether in what I've compiled. From now on, we're going to be putting it on the internet. I'm going to take it to Sheila Cohen, who's one of the leaders of GDAC, and she's promised me that she'll put it on the internet for me. I'm going to try to get the GDAC members organized so that each person, several people monitor, one newspaper per person, divide up the work, because I have books I have to write. I would just like to call your attention to, I want to raise a couple of questions, and these are really kind of rhetorical questions. There was an explosion in Horseheads of natural gas that killed a little 15-month-old baby, and I find not at all to my surprise that most people have never heard of this. Well, it was in the Ithaca Journal several times. It happened back in January. There's a picture of the baby on page 98 of packet number 4. And my question is, I think I have heard that we could supply all the electricity that we need with solar panels in the Libyan desert. And my question is, why does a baby in Horseheads have to blow up at age 15 months if we can get all the electricity we need from solar panels in the Libyan desert or maybe some other desert? So I think we're looking in the wrong direction with fossil fuel production. I think some of you know that 8 people died in explosions in San Bruno last winter because of defective pipelines in California. You know, our infrastructure is basically rusting out. I guess they were bad welds. There were 5 people killed in the Allentown, Pennsylvania neighborhood, and I'm not too sure anymore when that was, maybe March of this year. But what the newspaper articles say about that is that every 9 or 10 days, someone is either injured or killed in a natural gas explosion. And I remember 2 people in Cortland who were blown up in their furniture store in Cortland. I remember buying a lamp from the man who ran the store, who was in his 90s, and his wife was in a wheelchair, and there was just no way of saving these people. And I understand that the firemen had to have counseling after that episode. So I think the more you know about all this, the more you're inclined to ask these questions. Another question I have 3 brochures back on the table, and one of them is about economics, one is about the food shed, and one of them is about the forests. So I would encourage you, picking up brochures, they're not heavy to carry. At the very least, try to get some of those brochures. The brochure that gives the economic analysis, I have always wondered why it adds up things like the dairy, the vineyards, the tourism, the wildlife watching, all these different components of the upstate economy, and it completely leaves out colleges and universities. Well, we have, the last time I looked, 24 colleges and universities in the Finger Lakes, and I have seen a brochure that SUNY Cortland contributes almost $300 million to the local economy annually. So my question is, when you're doing an economic analysis of upstate New York, and you're saying that it produces $400 billion over a 20-year period, and natural gas will only produce $22 billion over the same 20-year period, why haven't they calculated in the economic value of these colleges and universities? I don't know why not, but it just doesn't seem to be done. So I would just encourage you to pick up a lot of this material. I don't want to have to take it back at 11 o'clock tonight. They're heavy, for one thing.